to the Ungovernables, the captain's crew, the LFA family, McGroin Nation, coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee on rumble.com/LFA TV. Welcome to Ungoverned. It's going to be an interesting day today. May see the seatbelt sign come out a little bit. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. First rescissions package has been sent from the White House to Congress. First of hopefully many. Hopefully not the only one. Obviously, Elon Musk made some comments yesterday about the quote-unquote big, beautiful bill. Is he right to be upset? About some of the things, sure. He is right to be upset about some of the things. I see a lot of people are finally catching on to the idea that, and it's not that finally is not really the word. We've known about this problem for quite some time, but the rhino problem that the Republican Party has, and I'm going to deliver you some tough love. Republicans don't have a rhino problem. What? What'd you say? Republicans don't have a rhino problem. What about Tom Tillis? What about Mike Lawler? What about, Andrew Garbarino? What about John Cornyn? What about Mitch McConnell? No. Republicans don't have a rhino problem. But what about Lindsey Graham? I know about these guys. They're there. Republican voters have an apathy problem. I'm just going to say it. Now, it's not going to fix every problem. I'm not going to say that. But in general, the apathy problem that we have, right? And I see this a lot, and I may put something out about this later today. There were, and there are, and it's on both sides. And I'm going to try and say this as nicely as possible because this does get me upset. And it's an issue that needs to be fixed. There were a lot of people who thought we won 2024, Donald Trump is the new king, and everything is fixed. That's not the type of government, A, that we have, B, that we want. Okay? I know I said it maybe 48 hours after the 2024 election. Hey, we got to start thinking about the next one. It's too early. Why can't we celebrate the wins? We can celebrate the wins. Let's celebrate. But we'll also keep our eyes on the prize. Making America great, not just electing a new president. The problem that we have is, and it's again, I say we. It's not just Republican voters, it's Democrat voters too. It's the American electorate in general. We're hit with thousands of different things every day, every week, every month. It's hard to stay focused on politics. It is. It'll burn you out. It'll frustrate you. It's a lot of bad news. It's a lot of attacks going back and forth. It's a lot of disagreements. It's a lot of things we don't understand. It's a lot. It's a lot. But one of the problems that I see constantly, and I'm going to look inward here, we're going to look in the mirror here, is the Republican Party and Republican voters are way too apathetic. We all know, right? There's no excuse for this. There's really no excuse. We all know hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of Democrat voters. A lot of them aren't real people, right? We know now with the mail-in ballots that have been implemented across many states and all of the new Fugazi rules that are out there, we know that a lot of their numbers are propped up by voter fraud, right? So what excuse do we have to not take too big to rig into every election process, whether it's a primary, whether it's your neighborhood HOA, right? What excuse do we have to become apathetic and just tune out? No excuse. No excuse. We know our opponents are going to cheat. This is a numbers game. We need as many numbers as possible. Now, I am not at all suggesting blind loyalty to the Republican Party. Not at all. Not at all. As a matter of fact, I suggest blind loyalty to no living person, especially a politician on planet Earth. Blind loyalty is dangerous. Blind loyalty is dangerous. And yes, that means we cannot be blindly loyal to the greatest president of our lifetime. I love Donald Trump. I think he's the best president that I've ever seen. I'm only 34 years old. I think he's the right man I know he's the right man for these times. The problem is he can't do it by himself. Right? He is not a king. He is not a monarch. We do not want him to be a king. We do not want him to be an emperor. We do not want him to rule like a tyrant. But then our agenda gets put. Yes, but then when somebody else assumes the position, they're going to do it too. Okay? This is the problem. Well, it's not a problem. We live in a constant. How many times have we said this to Democrats? We don't live in a democracy. We live in a republic. Well, now I got to say this to Republicans who don't seem to understand. We don't live in a monarchy. We live in a republic. So it is time to immerse ourselves in the process, right? And it's not going to be successful every time. But to form those healthy habits that before you make your trips to the beach every day, we know when elections are going to be coming up that we're voting for. Before vacation season kicks in, it's okay to go on vacations. It's okay to take time off. We got to know what's going on out there. Look, Republicans have a rhino problem because Republican voters have an apathy problem. And I'm sorry if this is the blunt truth, but it's the truth. Too many people think that we have a new president, that Donald Trump is in, and that all of our problems are fixed. Newsflash, they're not. And the first problem that we need to address is the quality of the people who are in the House of Representatives right now, allegedly representing our best interests, that are doing anything but that. Anything but that. And I see the threats. We're going to primary. No, we're not. Not unless we change our behaviors. Elon's going to fund primary challenges. Well, that's great. You need candidates who are actually worth half a you-know-what. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying I've seen it before. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm being cynical, but I'm not sorry if it sounds like I'm extremely frustrated. Another mountain to climb with regards to primarying the rhinos is that Donald freaking Trump keeps endorsing all the rhinos. Oh, but he's just trying to play nice. Oh, don't you understand strategy? I have sources in the administration that says he's doing this because it's a chess move. Take your sources and wipe your rear end with them. These are bad endorsements, and they are only going to make the rhino problem in the House, in the Senate, 10 times worse. And you know it. That's part of the mountain to climb. The good news is Trump's endorsement is just words. That's all it is. But it's frustrating. Because I know in my heart of hearts, that man wants to make a difference, Donald Trump. But for some reason, he keeps being convinced, whether it's him consulting, reflecting and meditating on what he wants to do, or it's the people around him. And I think it's the people around him. For some reason, he is convinced that playing freaking patty cake with Lindsey Graham is a way to get things done. That endorsing the guy, Andrew Garbarino, who fell asleep in the House of Representatives and missed a vote, is the way to get things done. You know, if I don't want to, look, it's like, if you don't want your car insurance to go up, stop getting into accidents, right? Especially getting into them on purpose. If you don't want to get fat, stop eating. These are the problems that we have right now. And I'm sick over it. Absolutely sick to my stomach over the problems that we're seeing right now. And everybody's guilty. You know what? I will give Donald Trump a pass on 90% of these things, but not the endorsements. That is your name that you are signing to those documents, to those endorsements. And in those endorsements, there's no excuse. None. None. He endorsed Jack Chattarelli in New Jersey, who is pro-trans, for heaven's sake. I don't know what the hell we're supposed to do with this. Other than look at it and say, we the people have the power. We the people need to use the power. One man is not going to fix it. And I don't want one man to be able to fix it. I love Donald Trump. I like a lot of Republican representatives. I think Andy Ogles is a fine man. I think Eli Crane is a fine man. I think Tim Burchett is a fine man. There are others. They may not be coming to mind right now. There are others. But those are 3 people. 4 if you include Donald Trump. There's, 535 members of Congress, both Republican and Democrat, in counting both chambers. I think it's 435 representatives in the House and 100 senators. 4 of them are good. How do we fix it? How do we fix it? The time for, we won 2024, now Trump gets to rule like a king. That's not true. We're frustrated with Congress. Who sent Congress there? We did. Well, these candidates are handpicked by the GOP. Yeah, sure. But you in your primaries can make a difference. Now, some states like South Carolina, right? Lindsey Graham, look, those are open primaries. Same as Tennessee, actually, and I don't like it. Meaning Democrats can vote in the Republican primary. In a state like South Carolina, where a Republican is always going to win the general election, it's actually strategically in the Democrats' best interest to go into the primaries and vote for the weaker of the Republican candidates, right? Now, I'm not saying we should do the same thing. I'm saying what we should do at the state level is close our freaking primaries. Why does Lindsey Graham keep winning the primaries? I don't know. Maybe a lot of Democrats are voting for him. I bet you that's what's going on. I bet you if we asked our friend Chad down in South Carolina, he'd tell you that something like that's going on. Trusting the establishment, whether you're a Republican voter who comes out every year, every 2 years, every 4 years, whether you're Donald Trump, who keeps giving them the endorsement, hoping, transactionally that they will repay you in kind and support your agenda, it is never going to work. It is never going to work. We are at fault. Look in the mirror. All of us, collectively, as a voting bloc, we know we have the numbers to win the election. We just did it in 2024. We just won the popular vote for the first time in 20 years. And the last time a Republican presidential candidate won the popular vote was George Bush in 2004. And that's because he was riding the wave of, pro-American patriotic nationalism because of 9/11. We just won the popular vote. We just proved that we are in the majority. There is no excuse to keep losing. There is no excuse to keep sending in the same clowns year in, year out to Congress. Are we going to take some of these big rhinos out politically on our first attempt? No. Is it going to take several candidates, several challenges, several years, several elections to get it done? It will. But if we are truly committed to making America great again and not just electing the party that says it wants to make America great again and then being disappointed 8 months after the election, if we're truly committed to the agenda, then immersing ourselves in the process from start to finish, grassroots organizing, starting local and building your way up, searching for candidates, door knocking early, vigorously sharing the message, diligently knowing when elections are going to be held, getting involved in your local political parties and other associated groups and functions. These are the things that we're going to have to do if we actually want to see change. You know what they say? Repeating the same behavior and expecting different results, you're cuckoo, right? You're insane. We keep repeating the same behaviors. Hell, we keep sending the same people who keep stabbing us in the back to Congress and expecting them to do something different. That's got to stop. All right. I hope that makes sense. That makes sense? Yeah. All right. Excuse me. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll talk about this rescissions package here because this is it's a good step forward. It's a little progress. It's baby steps. Before we do that, I want to talk to you about our friends over at OFP Farms, OFPFarms.com, OFPFarms.com, OFPFarms.com. Ladies and gentlemen, saddle up for Father's Day at OFP Farms. They've got big news hot off the farm press. OFP Farms is dishing out a barn load of gift sets to make your dad, your papa, your husband, your son, your best uncle, or that special father figure in your life feel like a king this Father's Day. Choose from the fabulous lineup of beard and bath sets, soap boxes, wellness bundles, and a whole lot more. Round up your orders today. What could be better on Father's Day to get your dad some of this outlaw soap right here, right? Say, why'd you get me this? Why'd you get me this? Because it's got Donald Trump's face on it, the outlaw mugshot, right? You can smell it. It'll leave you smelling like a felon, right? Smelling like a felon, all right? You say, Dad, I'm going to leave you smelling like a felon. That's why I got you the outlaw soap. Outlaw soap, Goat Kisses lip balm, beard oil, right? You know Corey, Papa OFP Farms. He's got this beard. It's an epic, epic beard. And you know he's got that beard oil in there. It's, for the folks who met him at the inauguration, he was doing like $20 if you wanted to pet him. You know, pet the beard, right? I don't know. Round up your orders today, folks. Time is ticking away to get these goodies shipped out to your father in time for Father's Day. And look, we loved the Pony Express back in the day, right? But now we got to trust the USPS to deliver the goods. Guess what? You can lasso a 20% discount at OFPFarms.com. If you use the promo code Sean, it's SHAWN, SHAWN, OFPFarms.com, Oscar Foxtrot, PapaFarms.com. Use the promo code SHAWN for 20% off at OFPFarms.com. It's OFPFarms.com, promo code Sean, OFPFarms.com, promo code Sean, SHAWN. Spell it right, or I will personally impose a 20% tariff on your 20% discount, so you're not going to save any money. I'll come for you. I'll find out if you use the other. If you spell my name wrong in that promo code, I'm going to find out.
The W is for winner.
The W is for winner. Isn't that what you said about Sean Hughes? Yeah.
No, I said all Sean's with W's
are winners.
are winners.
Yeah, the W is for winner.
Best one.
Yes, there it is. The W is for winner.
But we
right?
also like Sean's without W's.
Yeah, we like the Sean's without W.
We're
It's just
not partial.
it's just that you just don't have a W for winner.
Exactly.
That's all. All right, here we go. Rescissions have been sent. Rescissions. What are rescissions? Why is a rescissions package the best way to go with regards to getting Doge cuts achieved? Why can't we pass a standalone bill? Here's the short version of that, right? I put a long post up on X yesterday really explaining this because I see a lot of people asking for Doge cuts, but not necessarily understanding what we're actually asking for, right? So here it is in a nutshell. You want Doge cuts, and you would think traditionally, right, maybe with a sane Democrat Party, with a reliable Republican Party, without, games and fugaziness on Capitol Hill and these snakes, right, these politicians, these snakes that are out there on Capitol Hill, maybe this is possible. You draft a bill, you itemize all of the cuts or the wasteful spending that was highlighted by the Department of Government Deficiency. You put it in a bill, you pass it in the House with a simple majority, you find a couple Democrats in the Senate to cross over, it goes to Donald Trump's desk, and that spending goes away. Conventionally, it's how legislation is passed, right? The difference here is, or the thing is, you need a simple majority in the House, we know that, and then you need 60 votes in the Senate, including a cloture vote to end debate, which is where the filibuster can occur, and then the final 60 votes to determine whether or not the legislation is passed. With rescissions, very important, we don't need that. So if you're calling for Doge cuts, and you should be clamoring for Doge cuts, this is the way to do it. Again, A simple rescission, this is the simple explanation. Rescissions only require a simple majority in each chamber, okay? Meaning you need a majority in the House and you need 50 votes plus the vice president, 50 plus Vance in the Senate, which means McConnell, Murkowski, and Collins are irrelevant in this process, okay? It's very important. There is no filibuster. There is no cloture vote in the Senate, okay? There's only 10 hours of total debate in the Senate. The president of the United States traditionally, doesn't always have to be this way, but traditionally makes the proposal for the cuts, sends it to Congress. Congress can modify it in order to have it passed. Congress has 45 days to act, or else the package fails. The funds that are highlighted in the package must therefore be released. But for those 45 days, those funds are frozen. And the president of the United States can send as many rescissions proposals as he wants, okay? As he wants, as many as he wants. So the reason why this is the way to go is this is the path of least resistance. If you want to go with a standalone Doge bill, which again, in saner times may have been possible, you need that simple majority in the House, but you need 60 votes in the Senate. You have to clear cloture. It's normally drafted by Congress, and it has very little in this environment to get passed, right? Not just because the GOP sucks. They do. I'm obviously not defending them if you saw the first 20 minutes of the show, but because of the filibuster or 60 vote threshold in the Senate. I will give you McConnell, I will give you Murkowski, I will give you Collins, and I will even give you Fetterman. We are sitting at 54. You need to find 6 more Democrats in this Senate who would vote to pass a Doge cut bill. They're not there. They're not there. Okay? And I get it. There is strategy to saying, well, let's just put them on the record and then hold them accountable for not voting for Doge cuts. You know what they're going to do? They're going to find one cut in a large Doge standalone cut bill, and they're going to say, well, that sounds like you're cutting access to abortion, right? You know them. We stand for women's rights, even though the trans stuff doesn't matter. They are going to grandstand and parade and fundraise about that one cut. So why don't we just remove that from the process and go down the path of rescissions? And by the way, the strategy of them voting against the cuts, they're going to vote against every single one of these things. If Donald Trump sends 10 rescissions packages, that is 10 examples of Democrats voting against cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. It's a lot better than them voting against it once, right? See what I'm saying? So that is why I believe rescissions are the best way to go. And the good news is the first of many, hopefully many, rescissions proposals has been sent to Congress with billions of dollars in cuts. Now, we need, unfortunately, because of how much our government spends and how bloated our budget is and how reckless our spending is, we need to actually cut more than billions of dollars from our budget. Imagine that. You know, let's say you're running a household and you're like, hey, we spent a lot of money this month. Maybe we should spend, $200 to $300 less next month. That's like a lot for some households, right? You could save $200 a month, put it away, etc. That's a lot. Billions of dollars, and we're sitting here saying, well, that's not enough. That shows you a problem in and of itself. That if we can cut billions of dollars from our budget is so bloated and out of control that billions of dollars aren't even going to make a difference. If this is the only rescissions package that is sent, I think there are going to be more. I hope there's going to be more. But I want to show you what was said here. I believe this is Russ Vought, the head of the Office of Management and Budget, explaining a little about the rescissions package that was sent yesterday. So take a look at this. And then we'll go through some of the specifics, because some of these cuts are just hilarious. And we have to laugh after the way we started the show today. So here you go. Let's watch. I believe this is Russ Vought, the head of the Office of Management and Budget, talking about the first of many rescissions packages that was sent to Congress.
I am used to, as a conservative, the establishment and leadership saying, we can't do it right now, but trust us, we'll do it later. So here I am saying, we have to pass the package that's coming forward today. If that package doesn't pass, we cannot use a pocket rescission on it later. So it's very important that everyone supports the upcoming rescissions package. But after this, I would say it is in our strategic best interest to say no more rescissions packages. Do it all after August 18th, because then no matter what Congress does, they can vote against it, they can vote fully to support it, they can vote for half of it. it automatically happens. And I think that this is a really easy path for us to
No. Stop. Ooh, I got the wrong clip. Guys, that is a load of malarkey. What that guy just said. That wasn't Russ Vought. I'm sorry. Oh, he's doing the August 18th thing. The pocket rescission? No. That will not work. I'm sorry. I never should have played that. I'm going to kick myself all day for putting that in there. I grabbed the wrong clip off X yesterday. That is, what he's talking about is trying to exploit a loophole that goes against the Impoundment Act of 1974. No. I thought I had a Russ Vought clip. That wasn't Russ Vought. That was somebody with a good idea, but it's not going to work. Okay? Let's act like we didn't hear that. Forget about August 18th. Pocket rescissions are not an option. Now I got to explain what that is. Let me explain what that is. Congress has 45 days to act on a rescissions package. What he is proposing is essentially proposing the rescissions packages with less than 45 days to go in the fiscal year, so that if Congress doesn't vote on them, the money is automatically withheld. That's not what happens, folks. I've seen this idea getting floated around, and it sounds like a good idea in concept, but the GAO, Government Accountability Office, has already ruled that you can't do that. It's an illegal impoundment, and it violates the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. I did a lot of reading on this stuff over the weekend because I really wanted to understand rescissions. What he is proposing there, we cannot do. We cannot do. There are two legal opinions regarding pocket rescissions, something that he was proposing there, that make it impossible to do that. Matter of fact, Trump tried to do it in 2018, and it was struck down in 2019. All right. Let's just get to what this is. And we have to pass multiple rescissions packages, rapid fire, and get Congress to approve them. Please ignore what you just heard from that guy. I don't know why I played it. I grabbed the wrong clip. I thought when I was putting it in, it was the right clip. It wasn't the right clip. But let's get to some of the cuts that happened yesterday. Folks, pocket rescissions, no. Let me see if I can find those rulings, actually, and read you those opinions. The pocket rescission stuff. That was, oh, man, I don't even know where the heck it would be. Let me see if I could find them. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's not. All right, whatever. We will get to. Gosh, that just derailed everything. All right. Whatever. Let's move on. Here we go. Rescissions votes. Is this the research I was doing? Let's get to what those cuts are. We have a bunch of these cuts that we have in this rescissions package, and these are some really funny cut items. Damn it, I'm so mad that I played that. These are some really funny items that were cut. $33,000. This was $9.4 billion in cuts, by the way, were made to the were proposed by Donald Trump in this rescissions package. Okay, $9.4 billion in cuts, 8.3, and we talked about this last week, anticipating a lot of all this happening. $8.3 billion in cuts to USAID and $1.1 billion in proposed cuts to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Okay? Corporation for Public Broadcasting obviously funds PBS, obviously funds NPR. Okay? NPR, PBS, extremely biased to the left, extremely slanted to the left. We refer to it as fake news, but it's taxpayer-funded propaganda. That's exactly what it is. So that's the overarching, those are the overarching cuts, but let me detail you some of the actual specific line items that are being cut here. $33,000. Think about this. We were going to spend this money, and this is now being rescinded. Or proposed to be rescinded. $33,000 for, quote, being LGBTI in the Caribbean. $643,000 for LGBTQI plus programs in the Western Balkans. $567,000 for LGBTQI plus programs in Uganda. Uganda, be kidding me, right? Uganda. the famed country where Why Are You Gay took place. Now they're getting $567,000 for LGBTI. Where is the H? Exactly. Where's the H? If there was an H, we can give them the money. I'm only kidding. Here's more. Lots of funding for DEI and Global Green New Deal funding, including $5 million for the Minority Serving Institute Fellowship Cooperative Agreement. You know what that is? I don't either. No idea. No idea. $595,400 for training women in gender equity. No. $500,000 for electric buses in Rwanda. Rwanda. Electric buses. $500,000. Why? I don't know. $6 million for net zero cities in Mexico. Mexico. By the way, net zero cities, that sounds a lot like those 15-minute smart cities. No, we don't need that. $2.1 million. I'll tell you what that's about. $6 million for net zero cities in Mexico. They're going to use them as guinea pigs and then try it here. $2.1 million for climate resilience in Southeast Asia, Latin America, and East Africa. Climate resilience. What is climate resilience? What are you going to plant more trees? Why can't they do it? Why do we have to give them $2.1 million? $5 million for green transportation and logistics in Eurasia. Green transportation. What is that? Green transportation and what's that? These like trains, electric cars, monorails, bullet trains. This is a good one. $4 million for $4 million. Look at. In this rescissions package that was proposed, this first one, it's supposed to be the first of many. In this first of many rescissions packages with $9.4 billion in cuts, and the billions, for some reason, because our government spends money like drunken sailors, isn't even going to make a dent, which says a lot about the problem. Within this $9.4 billion of proposed cuts, there is a $4 million, let me rephrase this. Within the $9.4 billion of proposed cuts that the White House has sent to Congress in this first rescissions package, in that proposal, they're trying to cut $4 million for legume systems research. Beans. We're spending $4 million researching beans. Now, you could take Eric Swalwell, who was already technically a government employee, who ripped a fart on live television, and he can tell you all about beans, right? Look, here's $4 million worth of research. You ready? Beans, they're good for your heart. The more you eat them, the more you fart. The more you fart, the better you feel. So eat your beans at every meal. Boom, done. Where's my $4 million, right? I mean, was that easy or what? $3 million for Iraqi Sesame Street. Millions under the PEPFAR account for so-called LGBTQAI+, where is the H, programs, condoms, and vasectomies. $833,000 for, quote, transgender people, sex workers, and their clients and sexual networks in Nepal. That sounds like prostitution. This is a good one. $5.1 million for resilience of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and queer global movements. I'm not making it up. $3 million for circumcisions, vasectomies, and condoms. Where? Zambia. That's what's part of what's included in this $9.4 billion cut package. $1 billion in contributions to wasteful, corrupt, and anti-American international organizations, including $135 million to, and I think we already repealed ourselves from this or got out of this, the World Health Organization, $135 million. $1.1 billion for the left-wing Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which uses your taxpayer dollars to fund PBS and NPR. So that's what's in the first rescissions package, right? And these are some of the just brutal, right? Just brutal items in there. I hope this is the first of many more to come. Because you know it's not just limited to millions of dollars to study beans, or $6 million for net zero cities in Mexico, or $3 million for circumcision. And these all sound like a lot of money because they are a lot of money to you and me. It's a drop in the bucket to the government. I am hoping, folks, that this is the first of many to come. Let me go back on this subject real quick in case you hear about this, because I think you're going to start seeing the pocket rescission items start to float back, and I want to arm you with information that this is not a viable outcome. Okay? This is not a viable process. No pocket rescission has ever succeeded since the Impoundment Control Act of 1974 was enacted. Congress and watchdog agencies like the GAO, Government Accountability Office, have consistently rejected such efforts as unconstitutional or contrary to statutory law. If you try to withhold funding beyond the 45-day window, which Congress has to act, whether it's when the fiscal year ends or not, it is an illegal impoundment. It is an illegal impoundment. And they can't do that. President Ford never did it. The Impoundment Control Act was passed in 1974 in response to President Nixon's aggressive use of impoundments, withholding funds Congress had appropriated. The GAO has ruled against this every time. The GAO made it clear that submitting a rescission proposal late in the fiscal year was permitted under the Impoundment Control Act of 1974, but withholding those funds could not continue past the end of the fiscal year if Congress did not approve the rescission in time. Quote, this is from the legal interpretation in 1975. The Act, the Impoundment Control Act, permits the president to propose rescissions at any time. However, funds may not be withheld from obligation beyond the end of the period of availability, the fiscal year, unless Congress has enacted the rescission. It means you can submit rescissions requests with fewer than 45 days left in the fiscal year. But if Congress simply doesn't act on it, they don't have to vote it down. They could just leave it alone. The funds have to be released. And in 2018, they did the exact same thing. They ruled the exact same way against Donald Trump. So they have made that opinion clear. It says it again here in 2019. The Impoundment Control Act does not permit the president to withhold funds through the end of the period of availability in order to accomplish a rescission unilaterally. In other words, the only way the rescission goes through, the only way those funds are returned is if Congress approves the package. If you hear about pocket rescissions or you see something resembling pocket rescissions, I just read to you two legal opinions, okay, and essentially precedent rulings that are setting precedent that is not possible. So if you hear that this is something that is possible, sounds like a good idea in theory, it is not possible. I know it's not fascinating things to hear about, but I know what's going to happen. Now that I saw what Dana Loesch, whatever her name is, put up on her show, and nothing against her, that gentleman was expressing an opinion. That is an opinion that is going to get rejected, and we're going to lose Doge cuts if we take that. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to the autopen. All right. I just wanted to prepare you because I know you're going to start hearing about pocket rescissions soon. Pocket rescissions are not a viable option. Not a viable option. Those are two legal opinions that say you can't do that. Violates the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. Okay. Peter Doocy asked a very interesting question to Caroline Levitt yesterday, a question that Jeremy Harrell and I were pondering on the show yesterday. Let me play for you Peter Doocy here.
Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. When you look at these last-minute Biden pardons, the big ones, Biden siblings, Fauci, January 6th committee.
That's right.
Most of the big ones have the same very neat signature. We would expect that probably to be the autopen. There is one that looks different. It looks authentic. In fact, if you look at the last name, it almost looks like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there. Is this White House of the opinion that the only pardon that would count is one that the president signed himself?
It's very
For Hunter
interesting.
Biden.
Very interesting props. If you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a closer look, I would like to do that. The president is making a good point when he discusses the usage of the autopen. Who was running the country for the past 4 years? Perhaps those documents were signed with the autopen, something that this, I believe the Department of Justice is looking into. As you saw, Ed Martin made an announcement at the Department of Justice this morning to launch an investigation because the American people deserve answers.
So an investigation into the autopen, specifically in reference to Peter Doocy's questions, apparently is already underway. We talked about this yesterday for a long time, and actually we talked about it on the phone, Jeremy and I did, on the show yesterday when Jeremy called in and we said, hey, let's take the Hunter Biden pardon out, right? Let's take the Hunter Biden pardon out because I think if there's any of the number of Joe Biden pardons that were issued late in his term, I think the Hunter Biden pardon was the one that he knew about. He decided to do, whether Hunter Biden blackmailed him to do it or not, he knew about it. And wouldn't you know, the signature on the Hunter Biden pardon is different than the signature on all of the other 11th hour pardons, right? Those January 6th committee, Fauci, all those, Milley, all those people that got pardons at the 11th hour, right? Those were the ones that are suspected to have been signed by the autopen. The question, in my opinion, is there enough evidence that would suggest that Joe Biden did not authorize the signing of those pardons? And Peter Doocy is essentially asking the same question, but is also asking, the question of, is this how you came to your conclusion? Because you could look at, and I'll show you. You can look at the two signatures. Let me show you this on X, right? You can look at the two signatures. This is the Hunter Biden pardon, okay? We put this on your screen. You see no, you don't. Let's see. Now you'll see it. You see the Hunter Biden pardon, and I'll zoom in for you, right? Let's zoom in. Where it says Joseph R. You see Biden, but he kind of crossed it up there. Joseph R. Biden Jr., you got the underline. This is the Robert Hunter Biden pardon, okay? Now, let me show you one of the other ones, which is identical to all, it's identical to all those 11th hour pardons. This is the one of the pardons that is issued to all of the members of Congress who served on the Select Committee for January 6th, okay? Now, you see this is a totally different signature. It's neater. There's no underline. There's no crossing up between the B and the I. Peter Doocy is essentially asking, are all of the documents that have a signature that looks like this, are those the ones that the administration and that Ed Martin are looking into? If that is the case, then take the Hunter Biden pardon off the table, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine. I don't care about him. He's a has-been. It doesn't matter. The people I want to go after, it's not Hunter. Whatever. The people I want to see held accountable are the Faucis, are the Millies, are the Kinsingers, are the J6 committee, the Benny Thompsons, right? The Liz Cheneys. So Peter Doocy is asking, hey, there's an investigation. Are you investigating everything, or are you just investigating what you thought was signed by autopen? And do you think all the ones that have the neat signature that look identical to each other, are those the ones that you're saying are the autopen? I think those are the ones that were signed by the autopen. As I have said from the beginning, I don't think Joe Biden was unaware of the Hunter pardon. I think it is possible that Joe Biden was unaware of the January 6th committee pardons, the Fauci pardon, the Milley pardon, et cetera, and on down the road, with the nice, neat signature that you saw there on that second example. And if it has to be proven, folks, and when I say proven, I mean legally beyond a reasonable doubt. If there is any reason for somebody or any simple explanation that could say, well, Joe Biden knew about it, because all Joe Biden really has to do, and I hate to say it, is under oath say that he knew about it. Unless there is evidence to the contrary that would prove that he's lying, all he's really got to do is say, yeah, I knew about it. and get a couple of other people to say, no, we consulted with him about it. And if there's a paper trail or a record or something that's memorialized regarding conversations that he had about these pardons, then it's over. But if that evidence does not exist and a compelling case surrounding his cognitive decline can be made, we know he had the cognitive decline, and it can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, that he didn't know about those pardons with the autopen, then you have potentially a massive legal challenge on your hands. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see where it goes regardless. All right, real quick. I want to get to the LFA TV store, show you some cool Father's Day gift ideas. LFATV.us, LFATV.us. While we're at it, can you give us a thumbs up here on the show if you're watching on Rumble? We got a nice audience in here today. Appreciate everybody who came in and who is here watching along and following along and chatting along with us. This is the LFA TV store. Do us a favor. Hit the thumbs up show for the show. And then when you hit the thumbs up button, for the show. And then while you're at it, go to LFATV.us. Check out the store. 20% off spring cleaning sale going on right now. You got these amazing mugs that are on the screen, right? They're all 4 iconic photos of Donald Trump's 2024 campaign. You have the flannels, the beach towels, the ball caps, the keychains and tote bags. Rise Up coffee goes great with the mugs. You could pair up a lot of these gifts with each other, a lot of this merch with each other for a really cool Father's Day gift. Father's Day right around the corner. LFATV.us or JeremyHerald.com/store. That's LFATV.us or JeremyHerald.com/store. Next up, I want to get to is a word from our friends over at Armra Colostrum. It's tryarmor.com/LFATV. I have heard amazing feedback from so many people so far regarding Armra Colostrum. Folks, you know I'm always on the lookout for ways to strengthen my immunity, my gut health, improve my fitness, improve my metabolism, and enhance my skin and hair radiance. Well, this is what Armra Colostrum can do for you. It can do that for you and a whole lot more. Colostrum is the first nutrition that we receive in life, and it contains all the essential nutrients that our bodies need in order to thrive. That's why it's the first thing we get. Helps our bodies jump off that launching point when we're born. We're teeny tiny little baby people, small people, little people, tiny people. We receive that colostrum first. Helps our bodies thrive. It'll help you reactivate your hair growth and help your skin glow. It'll also help protect against bloating and constipation by fortifying your gut health and igniting your metabolism. You can combat bloating and feel lighter. It does more than probiotics. Probiotics are like, everything. Probiotics, let's make it happen. They're the healthy bacteria. But the problem is most of your probiotics are dead by the time they reach your gut, so they don't do anything. Armra Colostrum naturally fortifies your entire gut wall system, and it addresses all 4 parts of the gut wall system. And look, it does a lot for you, right? Optimizes your microbiome, strengthens the gut wall architecture, guarding against irritants that can trigger symptoms like bloating and constipation. You can fuel fitness, performance, and recovery, and you can do all that for 15% off if you go to tryarmor.com/LFATV, tryarmor.com/LFATV, tryarmor.com/LFATV for 15% off of your first order. That's tryarmor.com/LFATV for 15% off of your entire order. I see Gina in the chat, talking to Meemaw in the chat, saying if just half the people who are watching would just click thumbs up, you guys would see Clover, which is true. 1,000 rumbles, you see Clover. You don't want to see Clover? It's all right.
She's pretty great.
She didn't want to see you either.
Oh.
Whoa! Okay. Sob stories are starting to come out about that Colorado terrorist, the one who lit people on fire. Well, apparently his family was here also, and they were also here illegally. And don't you understand? His daughter just wants to study medicine. Okay.
Don't let people on fire then.
That's fine. No, she wants to study medicine. She can study medicine. Not here. She can study medicine in Egypt. Because that's where she's going. Okay. I have no sympathy. None whatsoever. Look, you want to say the family of the guy, maybe they didn't want to light people on fire. Maybe they're upset with the conduct of their father. I think they're upset with the conduct of this man because now they have to leave. I don't think they're necessarily upset with the conduct of this man because he lit people on fire. But I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for these people. I really don't. I truthfully don't Feel bad for any of these people who are like, oh man, but we've been here for so long and we have jobs and we have families. And I'm like, okay, but the root of the problem is you're not here legally. I mean, if an illegal immigrant family pitched a tent in my backyard, I wouldn't be like, oh, they're just trying to get by. We'll let them sleep there no, they're not here legally. Get out. I really like, the only sympathy I have is that, life's going to be a little challenging for them. And so like, I wouldn't want it to happen to me, but then again, I wouldn't put myself in that situation. Right. So I know it won't happen to me in terms of breaking and entering into a country illegally and then demanding that I be allowed to stay and study there. Not something I'm going to do. So, I see a lot of people who are like, oh, but they're humans. I get it. Yes, they're humans. They're human beings that are in this country illegally. Bye. If I'm looking at it too black and white, and I'm sure the left will be like, yeah, you don't understand. Insensitive. You don't like brown people. Wait, I thought this guy was a white guy. That they called him a white guy before they found out that his name was Mohammed Solomon. Okay? No sympathy. Sorry. No sympathy for these people either. Why do I support mass deportations? Because in Houston, apparently, this is good. 142 criminal illegal immigrants from Houston have been deported by ICE that had nearly 500 prior convictions. So let's take it. 500 convictions among this whole group. Divide that by 142. That's 3.5 crimes per person. Convictions. Now, I don't know if these people were convicted of the crime of coming here illegally, but they were why would you not? You're going to sob for these people. Well, you don't understand. They're human beings too. They're just looking for a better life. And they're committing a ton of crime. Out. Afuera. How do you say out in Chinese? Does anybody know? Huh? What sound did you make? Huang Pang. Is that how you say out if you're from China? Ching Chang. Do you guys hear about this one? This is a story and a half. Chinese nationals tried to smuggle biological pathogens into the United States while working at the University of Michigan. No. China would never do that. I got into an argument. I cannot believe that some of these people took this position. But, there's people who think Israel is the greatest threat to the United States, which is ridiculous. You don't have to like the Israeli government. You don't have to support foreign aid. You don't even have to support their war in Gaza. They're not the greatest threat to the United States. They're not. There is one country that is the greatest threat to the United States, and that is China. Okay? It's China. It's not Israel that owns farmland around our military bases. It's China. It's not Israel that flew a spy balloon over our military bases across the entire country and faced no repercussions for it. It's China. It's not Israel that has an app that I use that collects my data and sends it back to the CCP. It's China, right? It's not Israel that is threatening to take over Taiwan and developing technologies that can bring about warfare by Israel probably has suicide drones too, but it's China. China is our greatest. It's not Israel that has a profound impact on our media, forcing people far, far, far to the left. It is China, okay? It's not Israel that launched COVID on the rest of the world. It's China. China. I don't know. I must have missed the Israelis who were caught smuggling contagious biological pathogens into the country while working at one of our largest colleges. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this story too is because of these names. According to a press release from the Department of Justice, Yang Qing Zhan and Zhong Yang Lu, both Chinese foreign nationals in the United States, were charged with conspiracy, smuggling goods into the United States, false statements, as well as visa fraud. According to the DOJ, the Chinese nationals tried to smuggle a fungus. There's a fungus among us called Fusarium graminearum, which can be used as a agro-terrorism weapon, targeting crops and livestock consumed by the American public? Well, no sugar honey iced tea. The fungus has potential to cause head blight in wheat, barley, maize, and rice, and has the potential to take out millions of dollars in crops. The fungus can also cause vomiting, liver damage, and reproductive effects in humans and livestock. And a Chinese national smuggled, or two of them, smuggled that into the country. Now, you show me the Israeli who's doing that, and I'll say, okay, Israel's a bigger threat to us than China. But we send a lot of money to Israel, too. We have a $300 billion trade deficit per year with China. $300 billion. Yeah, we send a little more money to Israel than I'd want. We do. They buy a lot of weapons from us, though, with that money. So it's essentially a wash. We actually profit about $1.5 billion a year off of Israel and our relationship with them. We don't profit off of our relationship with China. We have our intellectual property stolen. Our businesses are being destroyed and undercut by cheap Chinese goods. A $300 billion trade deficit with that country that flew a spy balloon over our country, that owns farmland around our country, that has people smuggling fungi that can destroy our crops and wreck our livestock industry here in this country. Yeah, I'm going to say the Communist Party of China and the nation, not the Chinese people, but the nation of China is the greatest threat to the United States of America. And if you think it's Israel, you're an effing moron, okay? Well, but AIPAC is nothing compared to the influence of the CCP, and you know it. So why don't you just rip the Band-Aid off and rip the mask off and just tell the world that you hate Jews. It has nothing to do with Israel. You just don't like Jews. You're an anti-Semite. I don't like the word. That's what you are. You don't like Jews. I don't know. Maybe you had a bad experience with a Jew once. I have no idea. But that's what it's about. It's not about China. It's about the fact you don't like Jews. It's not even about Israel. You don't like Jewish people. Rip the mask off. Just be honest. Okay? China is the greatest threat to our country. Well, when they refer to China as our greatest ally, maybe then they'll be... But they're not an ally. They're our adversary. All right. We got to run. We're going to join Michael Patrick Leahy on the Tennessee Bonus Hour. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Right here, Jeremy Harrell coming up next with Live from America for the next 2 hours. As President Trump would say, we will never give up, we will never give in, and we will never ever surrender. And if all else fails, we will just become ungovernable. Thank you. God bless you. God bless this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Rumble.com/LFA TV. I'll be heading over, Brennan and I, to Michael Patrick Leahy to join him for the Tennessee Bonus Hour on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show from 11 to 12 Central Time. Until tomorrow, have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow morning. In the words of John Fetterman, bang gavel. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.